why should devs play sports? So we've talked about this in previous podcast episodes, but we were like, this has to be its own podcast episode because there's so much to talk about. Um, we both play sports. Chris, I actually saw the pictures of your retreat with Resend,
Yeah,
and you had the picture of the running club with all of your coworkers, which was
that's
awesome.
right.
And I don't know. I think we both, this is probably gonna get like more philosophical, but like we both believe that sports has underlying aspects of like team building and really like thought-provoking strategic things that kind of parallel what you need to do when you are a developer or you're working in tech. And so we wanted to kind of touch on some of those notes. So we thought it would be a good podcast episode. I don't know. Do you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's like a lot of life lessons. Like, there's the practical side of stuff, which is just like getting out of your desk, walking around, like the normal, like physical reaction your body has when it actually does activity, which is a good thing. And it's really easy to get stuck behind a computer desk. And then there's like the team building stuff. To me, like a lot of running is for me is just like thinking time. I don't do great sitting and not doing anything. So like running, like allows my brain to just kind of mull on stuff that I've had kind of bouncing around for a bit. So like there's a lot of like psychological benefits, I guess you'd call, a lot of team dynamic benefits, a lot of just physical benefits. So I think that's kind of a lot of what's encouraged me to keep doing it. But I have also always just done sports. And I think you're probably the same, would be my guess, since you do like 75 sports right now. But what got you into sports in the first place? Were you like, was your family super into sports or?
No, actually, not really. So I guess my mom's quite unathletic, and so is my sister. My dad's athletic, and then he also had to, because he was born in Taiwan, so he had to be in the army for a little bit, because that's just a
Mm,
mandatory thing, when you are born there. He was probably the person I played sports with the most when I was a kid, like tennis and things like that, and badminton. Um, I think I got into sports. I played tennis when I was in high school, and then I stopped for all of college because I had to focus on passing college. And then when I came to Seattle, I started playing sports again, and that was when I really, really fell in love with it. Like it was, it's like a there's like so many good things that come with it. You get all the serotonin of is that what it is? Like of like running around and whatever
sounds
the
good to me.
chemical that you get when you do athletic things. Like you feel good.
The
I
athletic
wanted
chemical.
yeah, I wanted to lose weight as well. So cardio was good. I hated working out. I hated the gym. And so sports was like the only way that I could like have cardio and get stronger. And then also like community. Like I'm not the best at, to be honest, like socializing through like eating or shopping or other things. So sports is the way that I met people and could like reasonably be like, I'm gonna see you every week and we're gonna be friends kind of thing. And then third is like honestly, I always felt confidence in my athletic capabilities, and that is a sense of like fundamental confidence I don't really have with anything else in my life. Like I'm not inherently confident with my job, I'm not inherently confident with my looks or my smarts or like a lot of other things, but I am very inherently confident in the fact that I am a good athlete. And I'm not the best athlete by any means. It's just something like inherently that I feel. Um, yeah, I'm not claiming to be like some amazing athlete. It's just a like internal feeling. I don't know how to put it. Yeah.
There's certainly worse things to enjoy. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think for me it was mostly like to keep me out of trouble. My parents would just be like, "Go do something outside." So, actually, a couple of years ago, I went back to Portland, Maine, which is where I grew up, and I could still remember how to get to the end of the road where there was a cul-de-sac and a basketball hoop. And my brother and I used to ride our bikes down there all the time. And I remember driving down that road thinking like it'd be really cool if the hoop was still there because I'm so old. I'm like, it's probably just like a horror scene from a movie from like decades ago. And it was still there. And I was like, this is so cool. And so, yeah, I think we played basketball there all the time. Soccer is the sport I love. I'm not sure I'm great at anything. I'm very much like I am in a lot of areas of life where I'm like, I'm pretty okay at a lot of it, but I'm not like amazing at any one sport. Tennis, actually, I got into in high school and college just for fun. And my parents bought me a super nice racket, and somebody stole it out of my college
Oh.
dorm room. And so I've never
Oh.
actually really gotten into it again. I want to, but I don't have anyone to
No,
play with anymore. I know, right?
that's
I wasn't very good, but
horrible.
it was fun. Yeah.
That's so
So,
sad.
so
What the heck?
I
Oh my
know, right?
God.
Whoever did that, I hope you're listening to this.
Yeah, I hope you're
You
listening to
ruined my
this
tennis career.
and you feel bad about it.
Yeah, but I've always loved sports, but it's mostly just been casual fun. Like I've never really done anything even semi like important even in college or things like that. It was intramural sports and just hanging out with friends. And I play a lot of pickleball now and like to run a lot, but I'm not like inherently a very competitive person, which I think surprises some people. But I'm very self competitive. Like I love breaking my own records or that kind of thing. But yeah, so I don't know. Yeah, where that leaves me. I'm just a casual sports person. I don't win gold every time I do anything. Sorry, Jess.
The more you get into a sport, the more you, once you realize you can execute on the fundamentals of a sport, like you can hit a ball and you can smash a ball and lob a ball, you start to be able to strategize. And that part is really fun. Like, I I won gold in a tournament recently, and that is not the fun.
Just another
That's
Tuesday.
just
Yeah.
that's just part of the story. But I would
Okay.
like to. I legitimately believe. So I won gold with my women's doubles partner. Her name is Justine, and the reason why we won, and I told her this, is because I think we strategized really well throughout the entire tournament. Um, so she's a lefty and I'm a righty. And so when we play pickleball, she stands on the right side of the court and I stand on the left side of the court. So both of our forehands are in the middle of the court and our backhands are on the outside. Um, that's just the formation that we stand in, and we do this thing called stacking, such that even when we switch sides, we actually always switch back, such that like she will always be on the right and I will always be on the left. Um, and that's just a formation that lefty righty pairings usually do in pickleball. And that's just like the standard way that most of the righty lefty combos play. There were times where we were down in one of the games by like 2-8, like down by 6 points. And this is a game to like 11. So we were pretty much probably going to lose. And they kept smashing to her backhand, which is the outside right side of the court. And she was just struggling there. And so I was like, why don't we just do the uncommon way of playing lefty righty and have you just we switch. So I'll because we want to essentially force the other team to hit balls that they're uncomfortable with or change how they're thinking. And if they're comfortable with hitting to a certain part of the court, let's make them change that, even if it's uncomfortable for us. And so we switched our stacking formation, and that actually worked really well. Like we got on a 6 point swing. We actually tied it up and eventually lost, but um, there's times where I think small things like that really help a game, or even like I don't know how to put it, even like the fundamental of how you approach a game. Like there are times where we look at a pairing, like a team that we're about to play, and I'll tell my partner, I was like, I think we can bang this game. Essentially, bang means that you can hit like hard smashes the whole time. That's it. Or if we see a team that likes to speed the ball up more and they can overpower us, I tell my partner, let's drop this game, which essentially means you slow the game down a lot. And so there's different ways and styles of playing a game, and a lot of it comes down to like what can you execute on and uh where can you statistically bet that you might lose like 40% of the points, but if you're playing a strategy that wins you 60% of the points, then you're putting yourself in a good place. And so it's like there's a lot of like I don't know, thinking about the game in kind of a chess match way instead of just like the physical each point, which is really like fun for me. And there's like even a quote from, and I don't even know which tennis player this is, but it's a famous tennis player where he's talking about like one of the top tennis players in the world. And he was saying like, "Oh, I've won many of my matches, right? But if you actually look at the number of points that I've won, I've actually lost a majority of them." So it's like sometimes it's not about each point, but it's about the higher strategic way of thinking, which
I feel
You
like that
can
was Roger Federer, but I could be wrong.
Yeah, it
I think I heard that
probably, I
quote.
think it's some famous quote. And you should just help me figure out how to parse that into like dev world. Because I just went off into some like just like random sports stuff and now we have to tie it into tech stuff.
Like we're already this far. If people are still listening, then they're gonna care. So no, I love the idea of like strategizing. It's funny because I think a lot of it is like what you want out of the sport. Because for some people that would be like mental work, and they like go to a sport to not have to think, and they go to a sport just to have fun. So like a lot of things, I think sports are beneficial if you understand why you're doing them and then get that out of it. And if you're going for something else that you can't get, like for instance, if it's like, I want to relax, but you come back stressed out or whatever, then you're doing it wrong too. So I think I wonder like if part of this is just figuring out like where does sports fit in your life that day, or maybe in general. Like for me, running, I never listen to anything. The whole point of it is to give me brain time to think. But there's been times where I've like signed up for a race and then it's like I'm pressuring myself and I'm not actually spending any time doing the thing I'm out there to do. And so I think there is like a parallel in just like figuring out like what do you enjoy about it and what does it help you with. And it feels like hearing you talk, it sounds like that kind of strategy aspect gives you energy, like it's fun for you. And so like it would be foolish for you to try to get something else out of it if that's the thing you really like, but that may change, depending on the time of year, what's going on for you, how many golds you've won, and so you might get bored with that and do something else. It is funny though, I have so my strategy on most sports is very different, it sounds like. So I think some of this comes from playing more like casually for everything, and it also comes from like my older brother. He's 18 months older than I am, but I was typically always bigger than him and more athletic. And he would get frustrated if he lost. And so very quickly I learned to like find the game within the game. So like when I play
Yes.
pickleball, I don't try to win. I try to find a strategy of like, okay, can I hit two back row shots, two left row shots, or two back like to the right, two back to the left, two up front, two to the left, no matter where they hit it, can I hit those spots? Like for me, that's way more fun. And so like I have fun doing that kind of stuff, but I also don't play in tournaments. So I just play with friends.
That's
And
so Chris. Like you're literally playing a game with yourself. Like it's such a Chris way to
and I
play.
get very competitive about that, but I could not care less if I win or lose. And so my friend can win and he's happy, and I can win my game and I'm happy, and he doesn't have to know anything. So that's how I play. But that comes from like my brother getting mad when I would win and stuff like that too much, I think, as a kid. And then I just got to where I'm like, this is actually way more fun than actually trying to win the game because.
I totally get that though because you probably play in situations where you're trying to create community or you're like playing with your kids as
Yeah,
well. And of course, you're
right.
not going to cream your kids, right? It's more about teaching or like playing games or doing drills or exercises or things like that. That itself is a skill too. Like I play in, for example, different football leagues, and there are some where I'm very competitive in, and there's some where it is meant for teaching or growing the community. I was playing in a football league, women's football league, and it was like more of a beginners league. And I had it's hard for me to code switch because I had just come from a practice for a travel tournament, which was very competitive. And I come into this and I made the mistake of specifically calling only two people out to sub because they were the worst two people on the team. And I felt horrible about it after. And thank God they were two very outspoken people because they called me out. And I was like, this is great. Like, I deserve to be called out for this because I was pretty mean in that game. I was like, because I was just singling them out essentially as the two worst people on the team. I was like, everyone else stay on, you two sub off with each other. And I was like, this is horrible. Like, I can't do that, right? This is like people pay for this league. You should have equal sub time. And on top of that, I'm basically saying, hey, you guys are the worst players on the team, right? And saying that to everyone out loud. And it was just one of my mistakes. It was partly because I was also captain in QB, so I was focusing on being QB, but also having the captain for the team, which are two very different responsibilities too. As a QB, I'm worried about
Yeah, that's hard.
winning, or I mean, I'm also not the greatest QB, so I'm trying to learn how to do that too. But as a captain, I have to worry about subbing and making sure people are having a good time and understanding the rules as well. And so I totally understand your standpoint of sports where it's like you also coach soccer, and I think it's
Yeah.
like you want to be inclusive and make sure people have a good time. And that's a very different mindset as well. All this stuff, it might when if you're listening, it might sound that's very isolated to sports, but these are legitimately things that like I'll go play a sport and the next and I'll think about it and ruminate on it and then the next day I'll come into work and I'll be like, wow, these lessons are actually very applicable. Like for example, sometimes I'll look at my manager and be like, wow, I empathize with you because if you, especially at a startup, a manager usually not only has to worry about the success of the team, like the numbers and daily active users and growing the revenue and things like that. But then they also have to then almost code switch and worry about career paths and stuff like that. And there's a lot of times where the first one probably usually takes priority because those are things that investors care about and stuff. And the second usually probably takes the back seat or things like that. But then it's like I understand why it takes the back seat, and I also then am more willing to advocate or be like, hey, help me care about my career, like be help manage up because a lot of time I understand how hectic it can be if the manager has to worry about all these things or things like that. And so they very much apply like these things have helped me so like leadership, empathy, um communication styles and skills has helped me so much in my career as well. Like it is it is like has improved me so much as a person.
Yeah, I've definitely seen that, especially like you said in team sports. I think there's also like the other side of sports, which is more individual sports. Like there's so many immediately applicable lessons there, like discipline. You know, like a lot of it's just doing the thing over and over again consistently, whether or not you feel like it. You know, but there's a lot around just like education and learning stuff and like not just doing what's natural, but really trying to get better at a particular task, whatever that is, running or whatever else. Like there's so much on a personal level if you're not doing a team sport. So like whether it's a team sport or more of an individual sport, I think there's so much that is kind of cross applicable, but it comes at it from a totally different angle, from like the physical angle. And I don't know. So I think in the end, most of us at least, we're all working with people mostly. And even if you're, you know, a hardcore back-end engineer, like a lot of your job is interacting with people, even if it's virtually, even if it's through code review. And how many people have tanked their careers or massively improved it just by their ability to actually communicate well and be a good teamwork mate and figure out how to help somebody without like publicly shaming them, you know, like be like, hey, you go work on this stupid side project because obviously you're not good at this. Or, you know, there's so much around people that I think devs know they need to get better at. And what a nice ramp to that, like sports is or can be.
Exactly. And it actually also helps me understand how the leveling in corporate America exists. Like as you said, like sports can be individual, and I think that's like the equivalent of like SD1, maybe SD2, right? Like okay,
Yeah.
SD1, you're just focused on understanding tech stack or the code base or things like that, similar to just working on your footwork or your throwing or things like that, the fundamentals. SD2 is like, okay, you've kind of mastered most of these things, you just have to get a little bit better. Then it starts to get into like senior and managing positions where you're working cross functionally, and then even being a culture setter is going to be a big thing. And doing it in a way that is like you legitimately understand why it's impactful because you care about the success of a team. Those are the skill sets that are both applicable to when you are a senior in corporate America, but also I'm going to say senior or some sort of leader on your sports team as well. And you have some stake in the success of that team that you are trying to figure out how to fit people together, bring people onto the team, dilute issues, and even worry about like I sometimes worry about the finances of people on my sports team, similar to how a manager has to worry about budget and things for their team at work. It helps me understand why levels exist. Like I hate corporate America leveling. Like promo packages, all that stuff, I hate it,
Yeah.
but I understand now how you like it makes how that like progression works. You know what I'm saying?
I think there is something too around like a lot of the, you know, engineers who get into things because they really like the code and then you do well enough that you get promoted, but you've never really worked on the team aspects of who you are. And so you get into that role and you're like, I just want to code and I don't know how to interact with these people. And like the time to work on that is early on, not once you get to that level. And a lot of times you find people's careers hit a ceiling because they just can't really interact with people well. And there's so much around, especially I think team sports, that is so applicable. I don't know how you're at in a team. I tend to be very much like, I view myself as like, I know I'm not the best player. You might be in a lot of the teams you're in too, but like, I know I'm not, but I know I can bring others up. And so like, I very much always have viewed myself as like somebody who tries to take the people around me and make them better mostly, and encourage them and like be very positive with them. Even as a coach, like coaching 14 to 15-year-old guys in soccer, it was amazing to me to listen to some of the other coaches just like dropping F bombs and screaming on the side,
Oh,
and
with
like
14 or 15-year-olds?
with,
That's
yeah,
crazy.
exactly. Versus like my style is very much like identifying things they're doing well and pressing on that. And what you see is when a kid gets yelled at for doing something, they stop being creative, they stop exploring. And that's exactly what happens in tech. When you get shamed publicly on a PR, you kind of close up and you stop really expanding and trying new things. Whereas what I would do is try to find a kid who did something creative that maybe they didn't even realize they had done, and calling that out. And what I would see is everybody immediately was like, okay, that's a cool thing to do. Like that
Do
really
you wanna
helped
give
us.
a specific example? Like something.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of it in soccer is around spacing and stuff. So like they would instinctively, like maybe even accidentally, maybe they were afraid, but they would drop behind the other player when they lost out on defense. And so one of their teammates would step in and they would drop back. And I would say, like, you just covered for them. And they didn't even mean to. But then suddenly they're like, okay, next time that happens, I'm going to cover, you know. And so the whole team would kind of rally around the things that I pushed on. And the things you give your attention to is what people find like, okay, that's really good. And so like, I think a lot is applicable there around even just encouraging people in tech to say like, hey, what you did here was super smart. Like, I love how you explored different options and then you chose this one. I think I would have chose a different one, but I love the strategic approach to that. Like
I
that
love
sticks
that.
in somebody's mind way more than like degrading somebody onto PR and saying like, this is a stupid way to do this, which unfortunately we've all seen a lot. And so I think there's a lot around just like how you encourage and motivate people as well. And that's something we need to start encouraging people to work on earlier in their careers, not waiting until they're like a senior engineer and suddenly they have to start thinking about how to really interact with people in a positive way. So a couple other thoughts kind of connected to what we've said already.
I love that. When do you think is the right time to be negative or to be essentially put on your dad mode? Like have yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think a lot of it is if you're generally like there's the norm and there's the irregular. And I think if your norm is primarily calling out good things, publicly especially, then it allows you to have a lot of more freedom to individually go to somebody and say, hey, this was really lazy the way this was done, because they know who you are. So I think a lot of it's more about your norm. To me, mostly as far as like being negative, I don't think it's a bad thing. I think you have to be a lot of times, but it's within the context of an existing relationship. So if you don't have an existing relationship that's primarily like encouraging, the person feels like they're for you, you're for them, then it's really hard to ever say something negative. Whereas if the person's really convinced this person's for me, they want what's best for me, they're always encouraging me, promoting me, then not only do you get more leeway to speak negatively, but they also hear it better. And it actually has positive results instead of negative results. So I don't know that that's like super concrete, but I think you should be saying negative things, but you can say them in the context of a relationship that allows them to still be heard.
Yeah. And that works for parents as well.
Yeah.
Not that I am one, but
Dad life.
I was gonna say you're like Ted Lasso. Can you do the
I'm
dance?
not.
Have you watched Ted Lasso, by the way?
Oh man, I think I saw the first season. It's been a bit,
What?
but yeah, I don't have the
And you're someone
personality of Ted
you love
Lasso.
soccer and like it's like the feel good show. I feel like I don't
I
know.
just never watch any shows or movies. I just don't have time, so that's my main problem.
That sucks.
I need
Um,
to be more of a movie buff, but I'm not.
we'll get your kids to watch it and they'll tell you what happens.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. Okay. You want any closing thoughts before we move on to show and tell?
No, I would just say like if you're wanting to get into some kind of sports and you think like, hey, that sounds good for a personal thing, for physical, for psychological benefits, start small and start with something you can be consistent with. So maybe honestly, just genuinely going for a walk 3 times a week at lunch is a perfect example of like that will benefit you way more than you think. I promise you. Or like for me, I started doing a lot more working out because I was like having back issues, and like those have pretty much disappeared in like a year. And it was all just doing very basic like body weight exercises to start with. And so I would just say start small and kind of slowly grow into it, and you'll figure out kind of what you need out of that athletic activity, whether it's like playing soccer in the park once a week with people, which I do, for fun, or whether it's like going to pickleball tournaments and competing competitively like Jess does. But I think just find your purpose, start small, and then kind of grow into it.
And our podcast is great for walks.
That's right. Oh, I love it.
Okay. Personal show and tell first for this week. Do you want to go first?
Yeah, so I had a birthday recently, and my kids bought me this Game Boy Nintendo like Lego thing. So it's not actually a Game Boy, but it's got like all the working parts. The buttons feel real. They have like these cool little mechanisms underneath that they feel real. You could swap out games, and there's even like game cards that like show the game moving and stuff. So this is really fun. And then on top of that, I found a blog post where somebody actually hooked up like some kind of microcontroller to actually run real Nintendo games off of this Lego Game Boy. So I might have to figure that out. But yeah, so this was a personal show and tell that was fun, and it's been
That's
cool to.
so
It'll be my
cool.
backdrop once I'm done with this episode.
Wait, so the game chips are Lego too?
Yeah, so the whole thing is Lego. This is a Zelda one, and then they have like these. Let's see if I can. I doubt this will show it all, but you know those like movable, like as you move them, it like changes
Oh,
the
that's what
image.
it is.
Yeah, so they
Oh,
have those. So as you change it, it looks like you're
that's
playing. It's kind of cool.
yeah, we gotta link that for the audience too, so they can,
Yeah,
I don't know, it's probably too, by the time this comes out, it's too late for a holiday gift, but any lazy holiday shoppers out there,
yeah. People
that's
like
awesome.
March gifts. That's fine. I will say, as a side note, I played with so many Lego as a kid. It's been such a long time since I've actually built something, and that was crazy therapeutic. Like I just got in a
Oh,
zone and was going through it, and it was so funny. My 5-year-old son, I kept watching him look at me like I was Superman. He was like, "Dad, you're so fast. This is so cool." And I was like, "I've never felt so proud." And also, it
that's
was just so
so
much fun.
funny.
So
Mine's this. Two gold medals. Woo! Um,
I couldn't tell if they were like microcomputers or gold medals. Oh, that's cool.
for the
Two
thumbnail. I'll do
more.
this for the thumbnail.
Can we have like a trophy case on our combos.dev website with all the golds that Jess has won during our recordings?
Um, so one was from a tournament that I did. It's a for anyone who plays pickleball, there is not. But this was a 4-5 leveling women's doubles, which was a stretch for me. So that was winning gold, and that was really great. I played with a partner, the same partner I went to Dallas with for that nationals tournament. She and I played fantastic there. That was a game where I talked about like all the strategy and stuff that we did. We played really well, we communicated really well, and we pulled out a lot of games. I was really, really happy with this one. This one was from just a couple days ago. So actually, a year ago, I did this same tournament with one of my women QBs from football. She's actually 40, so she's like older, much older, which is amazing that she's still such a great athlete. And we got absolutely crushed in that tournament. We came in with Costco paddles. We neither of us had backhands. We had no idea how to do a tournament. We got absolutely crushed in 3-5, which is a whole level down. And so we immediately signed up for this year's version. Um, I will say, like, to be honest, this one feels it was great in one way, which is like we came back, did full circle, and I did it with her again. However, I expected to win gold in this just because it was a full level down from this one. So this one was easier for me. But it was great, kind of just like playing with this person again who I hadn't played with for a year, because I broke her thumb. She so
What? It was
she
great because you broke her thumb. Could
because
that just be the intro to this video?
because so as I said, she's my QB for some of these women's games, and I was rushing her one day, and she threw a ball, and her hand followed through and hit my head as I was rushing
Oh,
her. So just kind of unfortunate scenario, like situation, but when it hit my head, her thumb broke on my head. So
ouch.
she was out for a while. And so we didn't get to play for a while. She was kind of out of commission for a while. So this was really awesome because she had come back, she had been practicing, and we cinched this one. So really happy
That's
about
cool.
that. Yeah. So that's my
I'm
show.
glad her thumb's better too.
Yeah, yeah. She's great. Like, I mean, 40 is really not that old, but I mean, she's just so not only
Thank you
athletically,
for
but
saying
she
that.
has so much like enthusiasm for life as well. So yeah, she's awesome. Yeah.
Keep those people near you, you know?
Yeah. All right. Technical show and tell.
Okay. Mine is actually a website that I helped do with a friend called sillysoftware.club. I think you met Christina, who works with me at Resend. And it's still in the beginning workings, but by the time this comes out, hopefully it'll be closer
Oh,
to
this is
kind of being
cute.
production ready. But yeah, so it's basically a collection of silly software. And the idea is like a lot of devs get into software in the first place because it's just fun, it's enjoyable. And so kind of collecting more like fun side projects. And there's so many coming out now. And I think some of this is AI enabling people. And also, I think some of it is AI enabling people to like say, I want to show off my technical skill that somebody just with AI couldn't do, but like I want to show how I can do something interesting. And so, anyhow, it's been fun to kind of collect these, and I think we have hundreds of them at this point. We just haven't put them on the site.
Do
But
you
yeah, it's
like
been a lot of
collect
fun to
them as
do.
in you just source projects that you see online that you really like? Or are these like,
Basically, yeah,
oh, so it's basically like a show and tell, like a collection of show and
yeah,
tell
it's like a
kind
show and tell. Exactly,
of. Because
yeah.
I
So
see Focus
we hope to
Friend
do a lot more with it. But yeah, yep,
that you, and then I see Dave Kiss is on here. Should I say this to a woman? That's hilarious. This is awesome.
yeah, a lot of fun ones.
Oh, this
So
is
hopefully
definitely
there'll be a
my
lot more by the
code.
time this episode comes out.
This is so cool. I love that. Um, okay. Mine is a AI video storyboarder called Open Art. Or sorry, no. What's it called? Sorry. OpenArt.ai. So if you've used any sort of like AI video generators like Sora or like Google VEO or something, you usually like type in something that you want and then it generates it for you. But this tool is more for like storyboarding. So imagine if you're like an animator or cinematographer that cares about like every frame and like lighting of the video that you're trying to create, it helps you do that. So I was exploring this. It's really cool. I've created some videos, but they don't look good because I personally am not a cinematographer, so I don't really know what cuts or like camera movements or things to do to actually make the story that I want. But it's cool because I've played around with doing it, and I'm like, it's cool the level of control that you can have with a lot of these like AI storyboarding tools, which is cool.
Hey, well, thanks everyone so much for joining us. Hopefully, you enjoyed this kind of like maybe tech adjacent area of talking about sports. Let us know what else you'd like us to chat about. You can always contact us online or at our website, convos.dev. And thanks so much. And we'll chat next time, Jess.
So yeah.